What made Bette Davis unforgettable wasn't just that famous glare. It was the nerve to be difficult, wounded, proud, even frightening, and somehow still deeply human. Today, we're counting down 10 films that reveal how she built that legend, from hungry underdog to Oscar force, from romantic icon to late career shockwave. And taken together, these movies answer a bigger question. How did Bette Davis keep turning defiance into immortality?
At number 10, we have Marked Woman. In 1937, this gritty Warner crime drama gave Davis one of her early tough woman showcases, playing Mary Dwight, a nightclub singer who decides to testify against mob power. What makes it matter in her story is how clearly you can see the Bette Davis persona hardening into place here. Wounded, cornered, but never passive. She wasn't just being photographed as a star anymore, she was driving the moral force of the picture. The role also brought her major international recognition with the Venice Best Actress Prize, which helped prove her power traveled well beyond Hollywood. And that matters because the countdown only gets more intense from here. At number 9, we have Of Human Bondage. This was the breakout, the role that shocked people into seeing what Bette Davis could really do. As Mildred Rogers, she threw glamour out the window and went straight into cruelty, desperation, and raw emotional messiness. According to the record around the film, she fought hard for the part, and that struggle feels important because it became a pattern in her life. Davis didn't wait for permission to become great. She pushed, she insisted, she haunted doors until the right role was hers. The outcry over her missing an Oscar nomination only added to the myth of Bette Davis as the actress the system tried to underestimate and couldn't contain. If you love these journeys through classic cinema, subscribe to the channel. At number 8, it's The Letter. Few openings in classic Hollywood hit with this kind of force, and Davis takes full command of that dark, charged atmosphere. Playing Leslie Crosby, she gives us one of her great controlled performances, icy on the surface, turbulent underneath. That balance is part of why the film mattered so much. By 1940, Davis was no longer just the young actress fighting for recognition. She was now the woman who could hold a prestige thriller together through sheer intelligence and nerve. Her work with William Wyler had already become one of the defining creative partnerships of her career, and here you can feel that discipline. The performance isn't loud, it's sharper than that, and it points toward the even richer, more layered roles still ahead.
At number 7, we have Dangerous. If Of Human Bondage announced Bette Davis, Dangerous confirmed she was here to stay. Her performance as a self-destructive Broadway star won her first Best Actress Oscar, and you can understand why. There's no vanity in it. She leans into the ruin, the instability, the self-sabotage. It's the kind of role many stars would have tried to soften. Davis attacked it. That fearless instinct became her signature. This is also where her public image as Hollywood's uncompromising actress really starts to solidify. Not the easy charmer, not the safely lovable heroine, something more volatile and much more memorable. And once that Oscar arrived, the industry had to deal with a fact it could no longer deny.
At number 6 is The Little Foxes. This is Bette Davis in full command of her capacity for ruthlessness. As Regina Hubbard Giddens, she doesn't ask for sympathy, and that's exactly what makes the performance so magnetic. The film earned 8 Oscar nominations, but part of its legend also comes from the tension around it. Davis and Wyler were famously at odds over Regina's tone, which only deepens the fascination. Because here's the contradiction at the center of her career. The more abrasive she became, the more impossible she was to ignore. In lesser hands, Regina might have been just a villain. Davis makes her into a force. By this point in the countdown, we're no longer watching a star simply rise. We're watching her define the very idea of a Bette Davis role.
At number 5, Dark Victory. If some of the earlier films built Davis's legend through toughness, this one expanded it through vulnerability. The role reinforced her image as the queen of tragedy, and that label stuck for a reason. She had a gift for making suffering feel active rather than helpless. Even when a character was moving toward heartbreak, Davis played the inner fight. That's what gives Dark Victory its staying power. It isn't simply a tearjerker, it's a portrait of pride, fear, and grace under pressure.
In her larger career, this film helped prove that audiences would follow her not just into conflict and bitterness, but into emotional surrender too. That range is what separates a star from a screen monument. At number 4, we have Jezebel. The red dress alone would have secured its place in Hollywood memory, but the real power of the film is Davis herself. Proud, reckless, brilliant, and impossible to look away from. This was the performance that brought her second Best Actress Oscar and helped cement her as Warner Bros.' top prestige actress. It also marked a crucial phase in her collaboration with William Wyler, whose exacting style sharpened her work in lasting ways. What makes Jezebel so essential in her story is that it turns arrogance into tragedy without draining the character of strength. Davis doesn't ask us to excuse Julia. She asks us to feel the cost of that pride. And by now, the thread running through her career is becoming clearer. She was never interested in being merely adored. She wanted to be undeniable.
At number 3, it's Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. By the time this arrived in 1962, Bette Davis was no longer the reigning studio-era queen of her youth, and yet here she was again, wild-eyed, fearless, grotesque, funny, sad, and completely unforgettable. The film became a major hit, earned her one last Oscar nomination, and gave her late career image a whole new afterlife as a cult icon. Just as important, it proved that aging didn't reduce her power, it changed the shape of it. The old gossip machine loved turning this film into feud mythology, but what lasts on screen is something bigger than off-screen sensation. An actress still willing to risk vanity, still willing to terrify, still willing to go further than anyone expected. Baby Jane isn't just a comeback, it's a reminder that Davis could reinvent herself by weaponizing everything Hollywood once feared about her.
At number 2, we have Now Voyager. This is one of the most beloved transformations in classic Hollywood, and Davis fought to make it happen. As Charlotte Vale, she moves from repression and self-doubt into confidence, emotional clarity, and hard-won dignity. That journey struck a deep chord with audiences, and the film became Warner Bros.' highest-grossing release of the 1940s. But what makes it so important in her legacy is not just glamour, not just romance, not even that unforgettable hat and pearls image. It's the way Davis reveals strength as something built, not gifted. Charlotte becomes powerful by discovering herself, and Davis makes every step feel earned. For an actress known for ferocity, this film showed another kind of authority, compassionate, romantic, and profoundly moving. By this point, the answer to our opening question is close. Bette Davis lasted because she could turn defiance into transformation.
At number 1, of course, is All About Eve. This wasn't just a great performance, it was a reclamation. After a period when some had started to doubt her box office and prestige power, Davis stepped into Margot Channing and turned age, insecurity, wit, vanity, and pain into one of the great characters in American film. The movie earned a record-tying 14 Oscar nominations and re-established her at the center of serious Hollywood conversation. What makes her work here so extraordinary is the layering. Margot is funny, cutting, frightened, self-aware, theatrical, and heartbreakingly exposed. The role mirrored parts of Davis's own moment in life, and she uses that overlap not for self-pity, but for honesty. In the end, this is why All About Eve stands at the top. It reveals the secret of Bette Davis's greatness. She didn't survive by hiding her edges. She made those edges the performance.
And once you reach these final films, the pattern is impossible to miss. Every time Hollywood tried to narrow Bette Davis into a type, she answered by becoming larger, stranger, braver, and more human than the image allowed. That's how Bette Davis became immortal, not by chasing likability, but by telling the truth of ambition, pain, pride, and survival in whatever form the role demanded. She wasn't just a star of her era. She was one of the artists who taught Hollywood how much fire a leading woman could hold.
Tell us which Bette Davis film would make your own top list. And if there's another classic star you want us to cover next, let us know in the comments. Subscribe for more journeys through the great legends of cinema.